a week after I think we literally, the same words are going to come out of our mouth again, 1 week later, and another excruciating series loss to the Detroit Tigers. Why are we sitting back here today doing the same thing?
Because they can't hit. They scored 4 runs in 3 games. Bryce Miller and Brian Wu went 14 combined shutout innings, and the offense gave them 3 runs of support, including 1 measly hit in the finale. No, this is not going to be the same as a week ago. It's not. You say we're going to sit here and say the same words. I'm going to say something right now that I didn't say a week ago. I'll put a question mark at it at the end, but I'm going to say it. Season over, question mark.
Unfortunately not.
All right.
Unfortunately.
My answer's also no, but it's not looking good either.
It would give people a lot more comfort if we sat here and said yes, because then people could just focus on football season.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I unfortunately still don't think this team is totally cooked. That's pretty extreme. But frustrating, yeah. Why are they playing the same week over and over and over again the last 3 weeks? It gives inspiration that they could actually play well and match what the Astros are doing. A team, by the way, who realizes it's August and have turned it on without much issue. A less talented team is showing you how it's done in August. The last 3 weeks have been the exact same. Exact same. You play great against the White Sox, just a joke of a team, but you sweep them. You dominate them. Then you go to Boston, and you play a bad series, lose. Come back home against the Phillies, one of your best series wins of the season. Boom, check. Midweek series against the Detroit Tigers. Man, you look like crap. And your catcher calls you out for not having enough energy. And that, for some reason, against these lower-level teams in the middle of the week, you just can't focus at home. Oh, there's less people in the stands. Oh, we just can't get up for it. Well, then the Mets come to town for the weekend. You get a primetime Sunday night baseball game. The stands are full. And you look great, and you give up 1 run all weekend. And then this shit.
This team has no consistency. I don't even know if they have an identity. Because every time it looks like they're turning their season around, every time, like they blew that ridiculous 10-game lead that they had in June in record time. They've now lost 12 and a half games on the Astros since mid-June. But every time it seems like they're going to turn this thing around and they found some momentum again, they do the dumbest possible thing. And this weekend, this week, it is right there with that Angels series where they scored 3 runs in 3 games. It's maybe slightly below that, but it is right there.
And it feels so frustrating to analyze because it makes you and I sound worse when we sit here after the Mets series and are like, wow, so this is what they look like at full speed. This looks great. Just make the playoffs. And then we sit here a few days later and realize, well, this is why they actually might not make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Because they refuse to copy that week in and week out, series in and series out. For some reason. Why is the team that is this talented struggling to do that? Why? There's no way this lineup with some of those names in it should be 9 for 92 in a series against a team that threw 2 bullpen games. 2! Kenta Maeda has an ERA over 6.
Well, that's the worst part about all this. Like, I said the same thing the last time they played the Tigers as this time. Look, I wasn't happy when they got blown out on Tuesday. But Tarek Skubal's Tarek Skubal. I said if you lose the Tarek Skubal game but turn around to win the next 2, I'll totally forget about it. Not only did they not win the next 2, they scored 3 runs, had 1 hit in the finale, and wasted 2 miraculous starts. If I were Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, God, I don't know. I mean, I would be so unbelievably infuriated. That offense, oh man, this is how mad we are. Now we're doing voice cracks. That offense owes them steak dinners, like as some form of apology, because this has gone on too long. How many times can this rotation take it? Like, I don't know what type of coping mechanisms this rotation has, but they have to have something, because no person can just keep their sanity this long into a season when a rotation like this just deals time after time after time after time after time after time after time, and only to be rewarded, in air quotes, by your offense putting up 2 runs a night. Sometimes that's even generous. How do they deal with it? How did we said our little theory here is this rotation has its own group chat as a way for everybody to vent behind closed doors so they don't rip this offense publicly. Oh, it must be going off these days, that group chat. Because how do these guys deal with it? There is no way they really think in their head, well, I have to do better. That might be what they say publicly to the media. There is no way that's what they're thinking. One of these guys goes 7-1 and the team loses. You got to have your hands in the air and be like, what am I supposed to do at this point?
Paul Skeens pitches today. He's going to throw a 72-pitch perfect game.
Yeah. If you're getting one hit off a bullpen game for the Detroit Tigers and a 6 ERA Kenta Maeda, what happens against the best pitcher in baseball? And yes, there is an actual argument that Paul Skeens is now the best pitcher in baseball as a rookie at 21, 22 years old.
You know what they're probably going to do, Lyle? They're going to score 4 runs off him in 6 innings. Somehow, because they make no sense. Because the weekend's rolled around, that's why. And they got to save the lack of energy for playing the Dodgers next week.
But then that's a weekday series, so then they'll get swept.
Right. But not in the weekend, because they got to play well against Pirates. They got to stay on brand, Lyle. We asked for consistency at some point. That would be consistency.
Seriously, I'm serious. How does this rotation deal with this? How do they cope with it? Maybe
firing off a lot of texts in that group chat. It's either that or maybe athletes really are wired that different. But I have such a hard time believing you can go this long into a season and have the sanity to watch what you watch with your offense every night when they pitch like this. We've said it a million times. It's almost getting annoying to say. Just get into the playoffs, right? Because they'd be so fearsome if they just got in. It would be such an unbelievable disgrace to waste this 2024 rotation. If they do that, that's going to be a storyline all offseason. They wasted what's been an absolutely historic rotation. I'm going to say the best rotation and best season out of a rotation we've seen in our lifetimes from the Mariners. Maybe it's on a short... Or you could say, period, this is the best rotation season they will ever put together in franchise history.
Yeah. There's no guarantee everybody repeats it next year and everybody's free of injuries.
Yep. Yeah.
And it sucks too because you know what? It really is that much better than last year. And they were really good last year. But you know what we started to see around this time last year? We saw Bryce Miller and Brian Wu have some rookie struggles. They were hitting their highest inning totals ever. Miller kind of only had 2 pitches by that point. We talked about it's probably clear he's going to add some stuff in the offseason. Wu was at a career high innings total. They were struggling against lefties. Now, there's still some weeks left in the season, but look at where these guys are at now. Look at how different they are now. Brian Wu walked his share of guys last year. He doesn't walk anybody anymore. He walks less guys than George Kirby. Bryce Miller on Thursday here had 14 whiffs. He had 7 on that splitter, 7 on the fastball, and he went 7 shutout. He was unreal. And both of these guys, as we mentioned now the last couple weeks, have taken a huge step forward in terms of what they've done against lefties because they've been totally neutralized by both of them this year. They have done so much. That's what's made this rotation that much better in 24. And the offense has actually taken a step back from where they were last year.
How do the Mariners plan on finding something over this next 40 or so games? Some sort of consistency. How do you do that? Because here are some things you have already tried this season that obviously haven't worked. You fired a hitting coach, clearly did absolutely nothing. It did nothing. Brant Brown was a scapegoat, but seriously, didn't solve a single goddamn thing. You could have another team meeting. After the first team meeting, though, does it really have any effect? Does it? No, it doesn't. You've already acquired the best players you possibly could that was available at the deadline. What else? You've called up all your best players from the minor leagues. You've made the trades you could. What are you supposed to do? How do you do anything else the rest of the season? Scott could very well try and call another team meeting. But at that point, all the players sitting in the clubhouse know we've already done this 3 or 4 times already. What is this going to do?
Add to that list, too, that you've now activated Julio off the IL, and we can get to him in a bit. But there is nothing left to do. There are no more prospects to call up. Harry Ford and Cole Young aren't ready. Troy Taylor was the last guy. The only guy that would be left, as we've said, is Logan Evans, who we're huge fans of. He's a He's very much a friend of this podcast. We want him to come up to the big leagues eventually and just thrive. But you know what? Logan Evans doesn't hit. What else do you do? This is the team you've got. There is nothing else. And by the way, the guys you've traded for, they've basically done what you've asked them to do. Randy's been good since he's been traded here. Randy's done what he's supposed to do. Justin Turner, for the role he's supposed to play, is about done what he's supposed to do. It's everybody else.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we're left here.
Yeah. And how many times can we keep having this conversation? It's
apparently every week.
Great. I look forward to it every week.
Every week through now through the end of September. You can schedule that. Yeah. Friday episode, we're going to sit here and start dropping F-bombs left and right. Every single time. Because that's how they're going to stay on brand. There is one thing they can do, though, to actually fix this. So the stat is thrown around today that if you throw out the White Sox series against all these other teams with a losing record, Mariners are 5-18 since they swept the Rangers and went 10 games up in the division. 5-18 against sub-500 teams. Teams you should beat as a playoff team. You have the greatest rotation in franchise history, and you are 5-18 against losing teams. Does not even compute. But you know what does compute? That's 7 series right there. 7 series in a row you lost against sub-500 teams, not named the Chicago White Sox. Do you know what you have the rest of the season? And it starts tonight again in Pittsburgh. You have 8 series against losing teams, and you better win all of them. All of them. Because how do we know they're going to beat good teams down the stretch here? They could. They've shown us they can if they lock in for a series, but we don't know that. And it could be an example like they're going to have this week after the Pirates series when they go to L.A. and play a team that is vastly more talented than they are. I mean, vastly, not even close. And then in that case, it doesn't even really matter how locked in you are if you cannot match the talent of Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, etc. So that's where we're at right now. You have 8 series. Pirates, Giants, Angels, A's, Cardinals, Rangers, A's. Win every single one of those series. Because you should. You are more talented than all of those teams. This should not be an issue.
Or you've at least got to win 6 or 7 of them. The Mariners need some 20-10 stretch now. They do. That's just reality. You want to win the division? You want to get into the playoffs? You need some stretch like that. And that includes beating teams that are worse than you. Honestly, even the Dodgers, do I expect the Mariners to win that series? Absolutely not. I will say, though, the Dodgers pitching isn't exactly as lethal as it's been in years past. They've got a lot of injuries right now. Now, do I think the Mariners are going to score against the guys they're going to throw out there? They haven't given us reason to believe that. But, again, they should not be overmatched in any series they play the rest of the way. The Yankees, when they play them in September, again, what's so special about the Yankees? They've been awful since about June. They have 2 amazing, basically Hall of Fame caliber bats. And what is the rest of that team? Garrett Cole's been awful this year. Their rotation hasn't been strong. Their bullpen hasn't been strong. There's no series the rest of the year the Mariners cannot win. And they really shouldn't be that overmatched in any of them. Even though, yes, are the Dodgers far more talented than them? Yeah. Doesn't mean they're totally overmatched. You've got to have some stretch where you go 20-10. You see what the Astros are doing right now? They've ripped off 8 in a row as we record here on Thursday. The Mariners are going to have something like that at some point because you can't keep going idle like this the rest of the way and make the playoffs. You're not making the playoffs being 4 games over 500.
Nope. And now you're equal back of the third wild card as you are in the division. So you're now not only chasing one or trying to control one destiny of yours, which is the American League West, you're trying to now go after 2. And both are equally as far away right now. And both those teams you played, you should be able to beat. You are more talented than both the Royals and the Astros. It's inexplicable you're 3.5 games back of them.
Yeah. And I don't want to hear anybody put any blame on Andres Munoz about the home run he gave up. Was it unfortunate? Yeah. Andres Munoz also had 14 straight appearances where not only did he not give up a run, he didn't give up a hit. So, yeah, the guy made one mistake pitch. Guess what? He's still one of the best relievers in baseball. The offense got 1 hit on Thursday. And by the way, the one run they scored didn't even come as a result of that hit. They had to leave the bat on their shoulder all of the first inning to draw 4 walks in 1 inning and score a run. So let Andres Munoz be. I saw some stupid discourse on Twitter about it today. Somehow people trying to say
it's painful though. On brand with the Mariners franchise. Did you are aware Javi Baez is the worst hitter in baseball with at least 250 plate appearances? The worst.
Yep. I know.
The worst one. And yeah, like I said, it's been since June 26th since Andres Munoz has given up a run. June 26th.
Yeah. So again, totally unfortunate. Awful time for that to happen. For him to
you can
finally
say the same thing for Jimmy on Wednesday. He was facing a bit stiffer of competition, but Jimmy Garcia has been amazing this year. Amazing. Totally amazing. We've highlighted it on here how much of a drastic step forward he's taken. He threw one terrible pitch and it cost his team dearly.
The Mariners need Gabe back on that note, and they need Gabe Spire to get back and be the Gabe Spire that was, or some form of it that he was in April, because Jimmy Garcia's splits are not very good. Like, lefties this year have crushed him pretty hard, and the Mariners, I guess, don't really have guys they're going to that are lefties right now. Like, Sauce hasn't pitched in a few days, and Scott talked about he's been sick. Maybe that's part of the reason he had a couple bad appearances, part at least. But, you know, they haven't really used him in a few days, so they don't seem all that eager to put him in right now. Maybe they want him to work through some things a little bit. But, look, ultimately, I hate to even put the bullpen on blast here because it all comes back to the fact this offense can't hit. That's what it's about. Like, you and I talked over text. Both of us had different opinions, which is totally fine, after Wednesday's game about how the 8th inning was handled. Like, I wanted Brian Wu to go out there and start the 8th inning because he was only at 87 pitches and he was absolutely cruising. You said, no, like, Jimmy is your eighth inning guy. You should trust him all the way. And that can be here or there. You can have either opinion you want. I don't think either is totally wrong, but it all comes back to the fact the offense can't hit. They just they do this every time. And look, like, I can be mad about the Wu thing, or maybe mad's not even the right word. I can slightly disagree with it, like saying I wanted him to start the 8th. But obviously, I understand the Mariners have calculated decisions on how they make these calls. For example, I think Brian Wu's opposing OPS third time through the order this year, it's not that high, but it's like 580 or something, where Jimmy's OPS, like hitters OPS against Jimmy Garcia this year is like 450 or something like that. So both low, but that is the type of thing the Mariners make decisions off of. They say they see 130-point difference or whatever it is, they're probably going to Jimmy Garcia. But you can have either opinion on that however you want. It all comes back to the fact 4 runs all series, 1 hit in the finale. That's what this is about.